Hey everyone, it's Cosmo, and welcome to a stream where I'm gonna talk about and show off a PlayStation Underground magazine issue. And I know what you're thinking, this isn't a magazine, and it's not. Not a traditional one, at least. This is actually a CD magazine, so they have a bunch of articles and stuff just like a normal magazine would. But this is pretty much a magazine turned CD, digital, so you can get a look at things like behind the scenes footage of games like Umbrella Lemmy, Gran Turismo 2, Ape Escape. And you can also see footage of other cool things. You can see you can download some games for some codes for games and everything. But yeah, I just want to show off everything on this disc, the PlayStation Underground disc. Because this is a really neat thing that Sony would do back in the day. This issue is from 1999, I believe. So I'm just gonna show off everything in here, pretty much. There is a second disc, but I won't be talking about that because it just contains demos, and I don't want to play demos. I just want to show off everything on this disc. And my mic might sound a bit different. That's because I'm using a different mic. But yeah, let's just go into it. We're gonna start with Project Wormhole. This is a really neat thing. Yeah, basically, this is a thing where they would show off how games are made. The entire process, what goes into it. This is really neat because Sony, I always found, was more welcoming when it came to independent developers. Like, with Nintendo, you would always need their seal of approval. Xbox, I don't think they care about independent developers at all. But no, Sony was the console you would come to. If you were an independent developer, maybe a hobbyist, and you wanted to show off or you wanted to learn how games are made, you thought the process was neat, then you'd have the best shot if you picked up something Sony did. I've talked about this before in the past. They used to have this thing called the Net Yorose, which was basically like a dev kit for hobbyists, where you could buy games. I mean, not buy games, develop games. They would teach you how to develop games, like entire PlayStation 1 games. And I find that cool because, like anyone nowadays, they can just get Unity, figure out how to hammer out a game through YouTube tutorials and everything. But for Sony to offer something like that to, just people who thought games were cool and wanted to do something neat of their own, yeah, I think that was really neat of Sony. If I was a kid, or not a kid, just someone who was the age around the time that this stuff was really popping, then I probably would have been really into PlayStation Underground, just the entire PlayStation culture at the time, because they were welcoming to people who wanted to create rather than just play. I'm not going to spend too much time on this game. This is just the Project Wormhole game that they were talking about there. Right there, they were showing off animations and stuff. But yeah, it's cool to see how things were back in the day with the PlayStation 1. Next up, I think, is the Bulletins. This is a really neat thing where they would show off like clothes and stuff. They would have comments from people who picked up the PlayStation Underground CDs, CD magazines. They would do a bunch of neat stuff in the Bulletins. Here, they're just talking about what you can see if you check out PlayStation Online. And you can see the gamer humor. They're talking about Lara Croft's breast size. Haha. This is the really neat part, the threads and accessories. And you know it's cool because they spell threads with a Z. Yeah, you get to see some really neat PlayStation merch here. A lot of this shit I would buy and wear, like that cap, I'd wear that. That jacket, I'd wear that. I would like to pick up a bunch of this stuff. I tried looking up to see if any of it was still around, but unfortunately, I don't think they're selling any of this merch anymore. And that's a shame, because they have some really neat stuff in here, like that Parappa ski cap. Like, give me that all day. I have a PlayStation backpack, actually. Not that one specifically, but yeah, I like it. The carrying case. You can get a Cool Brothers 2 tee. They also sell more than clothes in here, though. We're going to come up on it in a second. But, oh yeah, look at this. A chain wallet. Remember those? Gotta make sure you keep that wallet on you at all times. That's what the chain is good for. But yeah, they had a bunch of neat stuff in here. But yeah, they would sell shit like this as well, strategy guides. If you were playing Medieval back in the 90s, then you would probably need this strategy guide, because This game, I don't want to say this game is bullshit, but it does have a lot of like, it has a lot to it that you have to experiment with and learn, because the game doesn't straight up tell you everything to do with all the puzzles, with all the enemies. It requires a lot of trial and error, I guess you could say. So having a strategy guide, that would have helped a lot with Medieval. I wish I had this the first time I played through it. Also, Tomb Raider 3, they have a strategy guide for this. I'm not crazy about the Tomb Raider series, I'll be honest. I know a lot of people are. I feel like all the recent Tomb Raiders, they really seem to be taking off recently. I hear a lot of people talking about those games a lot now. I was never crazy about the Tomb Raider series though, I'm gonna be completely honest. I had, what was the one game for the 360? Underground, I think it was called? Tomb Raider Underground? I think that's the one Tomb Raider game I got even close to halfway to beating. No, that's not true. I played 2013. I played that all the way through. What am I saying? But yeah, I'm not, I don't know. I think they're neat. I don't think they're anything special. Crash 2, I think a lot of people herald this as the best Crash game. My history with Crash, I've played the Crash 1, Crash 2, Crash 3, Crash Warped, or whatever it's called, the fourth one. And the only one I really played through a lot was Twinsanity, because that's the one I grew up with. And I didn't really care for that game. As neat as it was, and as cool as the music was and everything, that game was also very infuriating at times. So I have a lot of bad memories with that one. But no, the Crash series I think is neat. The first 3 games at least are neat, so it's cool to see Crash in here. Spyro, I wasn't as crazy about Spyro as I was Crash, and I wasn't crazy about Crash either, but I never grew up with a PlayStation, so I could never play the Spyro games. And even the crossovers that they had on Game Boy and stuff, I never owned, so I don't know. I didn't have a lot of experience with Spyro back in the day. I just never got to know the little guy. But I think he's a cool character. I think he has a cool design. I think the games are neat, but they're just not for me. Except we have Wild Arms, the RPG series. And what to say about this? What did I say? I don't have the same affinity that a lot of my friends and a lot of the other people I talk to about video games have for RPGs. I feel like the odd one out when it comes to that, because I think JRPGs are neat, but man, they don't really do much for me. Like every once in a while I'll get a JRPG kick though, and I'll want to play through something. I think most recently it was Live Alive or Live Alive, however you say it. Yeah, I that's the most recent JRPG that I put a substantial amount of time into and complete it. And I did want to go through another JRPG, Blue Dragon, recently, because I grew up with that one. I never beat it. I had all 3 discs and everything, but I never beat Blue Dragon, even though I wanted to. So I would like to give, you know, some more JRPGs a chance, but most of them, they don't move the dial for me. I don't really care about them. I think the last JRPG I played that I really hated was Persona 1, I mean. Like, that game, God, I hate that game. The first time I played through that game, I was so glad it was over with. I don't even know why I forced myself to play it. I guess just because, you know, that was still when I was getting into the series at the time, and, you know, I wanted to see what they always had to offer. Did not enjoy Persona 1, though. Persona 2 I enjoyed a bit more. Haven't really went through Persona 3. I watched someone else play Persona 4. Persona 5 I played a bit. I haven't finished it. But yeah, I guess that's just my take on JRPGs and RPGs and stuff. I don't know. I wouldn't like to give more of them a chance. Like, maybe Wild Arms is worth a shot if I can find a guide to go along with it or something, because I don't want to just go into a JRPG blind. The only JRPG I would go into blind is Blue Dragon, but even I wouldn't be going into that blind because I've played that before, parts of it at least. But yeah, I'm rambling. Anyways, JRPGs, whatever. Yeah, this Jimmer Lammy, this shit right here, it all day, man. I would love that. I wish I had that. I wish I could buy it. I'm gonna look it up actually, see if it's for sale anywhere. Yeah, there's like a bunch of fan merch and stuff, but nothing, like, I can't find this exact thing, and I'm not gonna bother looking any deeper for it, so whatever. Jimmer Lammy, it's a cool game. Play it. Play Parappa as well. Here you could see some comments and praises and complaints and concerns from fans who own the PlayStation Underground CD. I'm not gonna bother reading all of these. It's not really important. But if you want to check it out, you can pause it, I guess. They're talking about, like, what if I moved and I can't get my CD anymore? They're just helping them out with stuff like that. Now let's check out the behind the scenes footage of Jimmer Lammy. We're gonna see Masaya Matsura. Ape Escape. I know people love that series, and I think it's cool too, but I never really played through them except for this one, the first one on PlayStation. I would love to play through the other games, but I do enjoy the Ape Escape. I enjoy this game a lot, and I'm pretty sure I would enjoy the others as well. But that's it for the behind the scenes videos. What do we have next? Oh, the event center. It's more footage, but of some cool stuff, not just the games. Things that are, you know, just people who are into PlayStation would like. The first one is X Games.
I just finished that game, Metal Gear Solid.
My guy. I want to say something that might be controversial. I hate the Pro Skater games. I don't hate them, but I think, you know, they're whatever. Like, I love Underground, but that's mostly because it has a story. Pro Skater, I don't know. I don't find it fun just running around collecting skate and stuff, trying to get a high score. They're neat games, but I don't know. I hear a lot of people big them up, and I'm not crazy about them. I had a Pro Skater, was it 4 or 3 on Game Boy Advance? I think that's the most fun I've had with the Pro Skater series, and it wasn't even one of the console games. But yeah, let's look at the PlayStation truck. That's really cool. I would have loved to have the PlayStation truck come to my school as a child. I think anyone would have. I don't have anything else to say about it though. That was really neat to see. They don't do stuff like that anymore, do they? Well, I don't know. I don't go to schools and see what I don't see what PlayStation does in schools. But no, we used to have other stuff come to our school, like you know, the Scholastic bus and stuff. I think maybe one time we had like a Nintendo bus or something. I'll have to ask Wimbledon about that. He would know. But that was just neat. Neat to see. I would have loved it as a child. I think we're coming up on the end here. Here we have the download station. Here you can download codes for Evil Zone, Blast Radius, Soul of the Samurai, and Bugs Bunny Lost in Time. I'm not gonna bother doing any of that because I'm not gonna play any of these games. But Evil Zone is a cool game, by the way. You can get some cool codes and whatnot for all this stuff. I've never played Blast Radius, so I don't know what this is about. Soul of the Samurai. I've never played this. That reminds me, wasn't there like a cowboy samurai game on the PlayStation? I've been meaning to play that, but never got around to it. What's it called, that cowboy samurai game? Rising Zan, the Samurai Gunman, that's it. Yeah, this game looks cool. I wanna check it out. I have yet to play it. I'd love to though. But, you know, you can get some codes for all these games if you really want them.
Our game developers reacting to the next generation of PlayStation. As a PlayStation Underground subscriber, you get inside access.
It'd be really cool if you would walk through a hallway and the lights would actually be carried with you like a torch, for instance.
We want to take you out into huge, vast regions of space with giant cruise ships and planets and space stations where you're a little tiny dot and the space station's miles and miles long.
For a driving game, for example, crashing into a wall, not only will you damage your car, but you'll damage the wall, and maybe repeated crashing into a wall will even knock it down.
We want to do things that nobody's ever seen before.
In a way, you will be able to see characters talk to each other, react. There will be like when you impact somebody up, you will see his reaction.
I think it's absolutely incredible that we've got a supercomputer and a game machine.
I can't think of anything right off that we won't be able to do on the next generation PlayStation.
It was very, more than I was expecting. And, yeah, cool. So we saw everything it had to offer. I'm not gonna spend too much longer with it. I just wanted to show off some cool stuff, and I already did. I think the coolest thing was this right here, the threads and accessories. They have some really nice clothing in there. But I just wanted to show this CD off. Show off all the cool clothing, all the cool features and whatnot.